What is going on, guys? JD from New York here. Welcome to this week's WWE News and Rumors for the week ending July 21st, 2013. Now, I have major news regarding Summerslam this year and all the projected plans for this year's summer pay-per-view. Now, when I read this, it was actually very interesting, I'll say. And it's getting me excited because it tells me that the WWE finally has a plan and a direction in which they are headed. And that has been a long time coming. I have not been able to say that for many months. And the WWE, as long as I've been watching them, which is going on 25 plus years, they've always done things on a week-to-week basis. Like people live paycheck to paycheck, the WWE does everything by a week-to-week basis with no plans involved for storylines. They take it as the weeks go by. And finally, it seems that they all have a plan together. I don't know what's going on in the WWE right now, but if Triple H is behind most of what is going on now in this change that we're seeing, you can physically see the change on TV. I'm all for it, and I've been saying on this channel ever since I started this channel, when Triple H takes over, it is going to be one hell of an exciting ride when Vince McMahon steps down and gives everything over to Triple H. It is. It really is, and I firmly believe that. And with the news this week, I have no doubt in my mind that Triple H is going to do a spectacular job with the WWE when he finally has full control. But enough of me talking. Let's get right into the news. First off, I'm going to start off with all the SummerSlam news for you guys. Word going around is that the WWE, the current plan for SummerSlam, has Daniel Bryan defeating John Cena for the WWE Championship, only to see Randy Orton cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, take the WWE title, and finally make his long-awaited heel turn. It's possible WWE announces the Randy Orton neck injury on Raw and keeps him off TV for a couple of weeks. That way his cash-in at SummerSlam, if it does happen, will be more of a surprise. Another sign that Orton will be cashing in at SummerSlam is that of this week. As of this week, there is no Bryan versus Cena rematch planned for September's Night of Champions pay-per-view. Now, this is very interesting. Randy Orton was supposedly injured at the SmackDown TV tapings, and I say injured with the finger quotes. You can't see it, but I'm doing the finger quotes. Supposedly, he had a stinger to the neck on SmackDown on Tuesday when they taped SmackDown for Friday. You guys will see that on Friday Night SmackDown. But as of right now, the injury seems to be all storyline related because Randy Orton took to Twitter and said, "Do not believe anything you hear on the internet. I am fine." And there were actually reports that Randy Orton came back that same night at the SmackDown tapings and worked a dark match along with a few other guys after the show was over. But this is really interesting, and I am not all for, Daniel Bryan winning and then just quickly losing the title. If you guys remember, he did that to the Big Show, a couple years back when he won the World Heavyweight Championship. Big Show had the title, and then Daniel Bryan cashed in, and Big Show was like champion for like 19 seconds or something like that. But I'm not all for that. I think Daniel Bryan should go over John Cena and go over John Cena clean. But if they are planning to do this, that's not going to bother me as much. Like I said, I still want Daniel Bryan to be the WWE Champion. I want him to beat John Cena clean. But if it's going to mean a Randy Orton heel turn, something that we've all been waiting for, we all know Orton works better as a heel, it may make this pay-per-view great or better than it's going to be, and it's going to add that shock value because the casual fan sitting in the audience is probably not going to be expecting a Randy Orton heel turn. But, obviously Orton versus Bryan may be headlining most of the remaining pay-per-views for the remainder of 2013, which I have no problem with because they put on great matches. And if that's the case, if they're going to give Orton the title, Daniel Bryan will definitely recapture the WWE Championship before the end of 2013. So SummerSlam, with those tentative plans, looks to be a can't-miss show. Like I said last week, it's shaping up to be a great pay-per-view. News on Batista. I know you guys have been asking about Batista. Well, JD, where's Batista? Batista is not returning to the WWE anytime soon. And if he did, it would be in early 2014 for WrestleMania season. One person close to Batista notes that he is not going to return at all if he's got anything going on, with new movies and such, because that's his line of work and priority right now. So don't anticipate Batista coming back in 2013. Do I want to see Batista back? Yes. His greatest work was done right before he left with John Cena. His heel work was the best work of his career while in the WWE, and it should be a great time when he actually does decide to come back to WWE, which will be part-time. He's not going to be fighting full-time. He's probably going to have like an RVD, Undertaker, Chris Jericho type role when he does come back. The Undertaker is currently recovering from shoulder surgery and will not be at SummerSlam. It's doubtful he will be back until his usual pre-WrestleMania return. Taker's shoulders are an issue right now, and his shoulders are said to be pretty bad at this stage of his career. I guess I've been hearing all these reports that Undertaker is injured. So, I've been quoted on saying I'm not going to believe it until I see it. Do I want the Undertaker at SummerSlam? Yes, because it would be absolutely epic if he returns and teams with Kane against either the Shield or the Wyatt family. But as of right now, all these reports are coming out. Undertaker is recovering from shoulder surgery right now. He won't be back until WrestleMania. So we're just going to have to wait on the Undertaker's return like we usually do till 2014. WrestleMania 30 will actually mark the 11-year anniversary since Stone Cold Steve Austin last wrestled a match. WWE has interest in Steve Austin working the event, which they always should, if he wants to work it and can get medically cleared. There has been an idea discussed for Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it would be revolved around the McMahon family storyline with Vince and Triple H. Now, Vince obviously would not be wrestling against Triple H for the control of the company. Vince would hire a wrestler to do his dirty work for him, and that would be none other than Steve Austin. Steve Austin versus Triple H is the main idea right now being thrown around with WWE Creative if WWE and Vince McMahon can lure Steve Austin into wrestling WrestleMania 30. Now, that would work. That would work storyline-wise. That would definitely work. Do I want to see that over, say, CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin? No. No. I think your money is in Punk versus Steve Austin. But how many more years realistically can Steve Austin go? He says he can go a couple of years. How many years do you want to bring him back? How many years is he going to remain interested? If you're going to bring Steve Austin back for a match, if you're going to bring Steve Austin back for a match, you got to get your money's worth and get every penny you can out of Steve Austin. He's not going to be around. He's not The Rock. He's not going to come back every year. He's not going to be The Undertaker and come back every year. Steve Austin has admittedly said he doesn't need the WWE. He's going to do it if it's right. He's going to do it if the crowd wants it. If it makes sense. Yes, it would make sense if Steve Austin is working for Vince and fights Triple H at WrestleMania. But the match everybody has been wanting for months now is Steve Austin versus CM Punk. Either way, I'm not going to get greedy. Steve Austin back at WrestleMania would make the event so much more better than it's going to be anyway if he wasn't there. So you can't complain. Steve Austin versus Triple H right now is the main idea thrown around for WrestleMania 30. If it happens, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. According to Figure 4W Online, besides CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan versus John Cena for the WWE Championship, other matches in the works for SummerSlam, and most of these I already stated to you last week. Kane versus Bray Wyatt, Cody Rhodes versus Damian Sandow with the Money in the Bank SmackDown briefcase on the line, Big E Langston versus Dolph Ziggler, a Divas match which will take place on the pre-show. The Shield will probably be doing something with Mark Henry and the Usos, and if not, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns will defend the WWE Tag Team titles against Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro, the Real Americans. Keep in mind, none of these matches except for Lesnar versus Punk and Bryan versus Cena are confirmed. We can pretty much confirm Bray Wyatt's going to be fighting Kane. Cody Rhodes is going to be going against Damien Sandow. And Big E Langston is going to go against Dolph Ziggler. Now, where does Alberto Del Rio, Randy Orton, Sheamus, those guys fit into the SummerSlam card? Rob Van Dam, all that. Where do those guys fit? I've been hearing rumors about Rob Van Dam versus Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. But where does Sheamus and Randy Orton fit into all that? What about Dean Ambrose? I heard Dean Ambrose may be defending against Christian. Those are all great ideas. But I don't want matches just thrown together for the sake of throwing a match together. I want everything to make sense. WWE has the talent and the creative direction as of late to make this SummerSlam all make sense. Hopefully WWE does the right thing and makes this event and this pay-per-view make sense. I don't want matches thrown together. But as of right now, with that projected card, that's going to be one hell of a pay-per-view. And SummerSlam this year is going to easily trump WrestleMania. WrestleMania was awful. WrestleMania this year was god-awful. The best pay-per-views this year were Payback and Money in the Bank. Royal Rumble was great too, just because it's the Royal Rumble and it's got that nostalgia feel to it. One of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. Probably my favorite pay-per-view of the year is the Royal Rumble. But SummerSlam right now is looking to be the most direct and planned-out pay-per-view the WWE has been putting on this year. So I can't wait for that. It should be exciting. When news leaked last week of WWE's plans to do an angle where John Cena let the WWE fans pick Daniel Bryan as his SummerSlam opponent, WWE officials went ahead and did the angle on this week's Raw. It was originally planned to happen a few weeks from now, closer to when the Total Divas e-reality show aired on TV. The feeling at Raw was that they wanted to put the official SummerSlam main event out there as early as possible. Now, the way we got Daniel Bryan and John Cena, I'm not a big fan of. As long as we got the match, I'm not going to complain. I already mentioned this last week on my Monday Night Raw, actually this week rather, on my Monday Night Raw review. If you guys missed that, you can click on the link in the description or the annotation on screen. I'm not a big fan of how they got there, just because I think it cheapens the title. The champion should never choose his opponent for a major pay-per-view, especially the second biggest pay-per-view of the WWE calendar year. I know a couple of people in my comment section said, JD, I think it's alright the way they did it because you have the champion John Cena who's holding the most prestigious title in the company, and he's choosing Daniel Bryan out of everyone on the roster. Just makes Daniel Bryan look all that much better. Yes, I agree with that, but I'm old school. I got that old school mentality. WWE should always have a number one contender lined up. Everyone's, high on Daniel Bryan right now. So in the eyes of a lot of people, Daniel Bryan's been the number one contender for a month and a half to 2 months now because he's been so hot. So he out of everybody on the roster deserves this match anyway. I'm just not a big fan of how they got there. Like I said, I would never have the champion choose his opponent. I think it's just a sleazy way, a cheap way to get the match. But I'm not going to complain. Like I said, we got the match. I've been lobbying for this match. I've been wanting this match. And we finally got it. Whether or not Bryan wins, we have to wait and see. But as of this recording, the plans right now are for Daniel Bryan to defeat John Cena and Randy Orton to cash in. So I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see till SummerSlam. But like I said in the beginning, I think Daniel Bryan deserves to hold that belt. I think he deserves to be given that championship. I think he deserves to be the new best face that the WWE has on this roster. But we'll have to wait and see. The decision to have Randy Orton win the Money in the Bank goes back to 2 or 3 weeks ago. WWE officials felt that they should do it because nobody would see Orton winning the match. Nobody's seen Orton winning. I didn't see it winning. Most of you didn't see him winning. I seen a different winner. I seen Daniel Bryan winning the match. That was the easy way to go. But everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to win. WWE figured they'd throw a monkey wrench into those plans. One of the reasons Orton has lost a lot lately is because they felt they needed to bring him down to build him back up, which only makes sense. WWE wanted that shock value. They certainly got it with Orton winning. I'm not too big on Orton winning on Sunday night, but as of right now, seeing that the way things are developing, I really don't mind Orton holding that briefcase, especially if he turns heel. Orton works better as a heel, and that should be exciting to see. Chris Jericho has finished up with WWE for now, so he can go back on tour with Fozzy. I've reported this a couple of weeks back. Jericho won't be back for several months, and his return may come as another WrestleMania 30 season surprise. It's alright, Chris Jericho can take all the time he wants. Chris Jericho has earned this time away. He's certainly one of the best wrestlers in the world. He comes back to WWE and makes the product always better when he comes back. So if he needs time to tour with Fozzy, give him the time. He'll definitely be back. He's not going anywhere. He's not going to be wrestling for TNA. He's not going to be wrestling for Ring of Honor. He's not going to New Japan. He's going to be always back with the WWE, so he can do whatever he wants. So we'll see him during WrestleMania 30, I'm sure of that. At one point, Curtis Axel versus Daniel Bryan was going to take place at SummerSlam. The two will likely wrestle on Raw or SmackDown in the next few weeks. Thank God that match is not taking place at SummerSlam, because I don't think that match should take place at SummerSlam. Being that it will take place on Raw or SmackDown, that's exciting because expect those two to tear down the house. I expect great matches out of these two in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, Daniel Bryan will be facing John Cena for the WWE Championship. Backstage after Tuesday's SmackDown tapings, the reported injury to Randy Orton was not a big deal, and some were not even aware that he was hurt. Orton came back out for the Dark main event, but only came out in the end to hit an RKO. So his neck wasn't injured. If he was injured, he would not be performing an RKO at the end of the taping. So all the injuries you guys have heard on every other YouTube wrestling commentator's page, do not believe it. Orton is not hurt. He will be back in a couple of weeks. The WWE is just going to play up the storyline that he's hurt, build him back up for SummerSlam, and like I said in the beginning, like I mentioned 3 times in this commentary, probably will be cashing in his Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. So expect Orton to be out just to build him back up again and make his return a surprise at SummerSlam. A lot of people have been asking me about Rey Mysterio. JD, when is Rey Mysterio coming back? I got news on Rey Mysterio. He's doing stem cell treatment to regenerate his knee ligaments under Dr. James Andrews. Now, Dr. James Andrews, every time a sports figure hears that name, that's the name of death, pretty much. I know a lot of baseball players, a lot of pitchers go to Dr. James Andrews for Tommy John surgery, which requires a full year of recovery. The wrestlers in WWE all go to James Andrews when they have knee injuries and whatnot. The treatment will allow him to avoid major knee surgery, so he's having that done. He is being targeted for a return in about 3 months, so expect Rey Mysterio back in the fall. According to a new report, the frontrunners for WrestleMania 2015 are Santa Clara, California in the Bay Area and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Frontrunners for 2016 looks to be Cowboy Stadium in Dallas and Arlington and Orlando. If WrestleMania is coming to Philadelphia, I may have to make my way up to Philadelphia, even though I don't like the city, I don't like the baseball team. WrestleMania in Philadelphia would be fantastic. I do want to attend one WrestleMania before before I'm dead, pretty much. I should have went to this year's WrestleMania, but I did not go to this year's WrestleMania because I knew the card would be lackluster, and I was certainly right on that. Former WWE superstar MVP discussed wanting to return to wrestling in the United States sooner rather than later, yet again this week. He says, "If I did return to wrestling in the States, which will most likely be, the clock is running down," MVP told the UK Sun. "I am 40 years old in October. I started training when I was 27 and signed with the WWE when I was 31. But I don't have that wear and tear that most guys have at my age. I've got some gas left in the tank." MVP should add nicely to the mid-card. I don't expect him to go to TNA. I don't expect him to go to Ring of Honor. I do expect him back in the WWE. And finally, guys, there was actually I got two more news articles for you. TNA releases this week. Doc, Drew Hankinson, and Tara departed from TNA as of this week. Now, Doc was part of the Aces and Eights. He was involved in that big angle there. And Tara was one of the main knockouts on TNA's roster. Their release was a cost-cutting move as she was with the company and Doc was with the company. Tara was actually the highest-paid female wrestler on the roster by a high margin, and the decision was made to put that money elsewhere. Doc's release, on the other hand, had nothing to do with cost issues. Sources say that Doc's contract negotiations went on far too long and his contract had expired. There were creative plans to have him turn babyface in place, which had been teased on TV. If you guys watch TNA, I don't know. I don't watch TNA, so I have no idea what the angles are right now on Spike TV. The blame on Doc's departure has been laid on Bruce Pritchard's feet by some. Losing Doc is one of the many situations where contract negotiations came down to the wire, and some, like RVD, have left the company over it. The two sides still could come to terms, but as of now, he is no longer with the company. Finally, guys, this is a funny story. There was a story over the weekend about an anonymous individual on Reddit. Now, I don't use Reddit. It's a blog, forum, website, whatever. Now, this individual, in regards, he was leaking WWE pay-per-view spoilers. WWE sources note that the company has known about these leaks for some time now. They are aware that they have a major leak and officials are getting more and more aggravated. This guy has been taking to the forums, leaking all the major pay-per-views on the WWE calendar and pretty much being a modern-day Nostradamus is what WWE quoted in saying about this guy. Every pay-per-view outcome has been correct by this guy dating back to earlier this year. I believe he started at WrestleMania and has been going on throughout the summer months. The story came out on Deadspin.com this week and has the company even madder about the leaks. One source notes that WWE is more than likely dealing with one or more mole at the top of their ranks. Stopping all the leaks from the company would be next to impossible. WWE issued a statement to Deadspin downplaying the leaks. Quote, "We may have a modern-day Nostradamus on our hands. We might have to monitor these posts in advance of our next pay-per-view to see how good he or she really is." That's pretty funny. I don't use Reddit, so I don't read this guy's this guy's predictions or whatnot. I pretty much have a good idea. Any one of you guys can have a pretty good idea of the predictions if you are a week-to-week watcher of the WWE programs. It's not that hard to figure out what's going on. Most of my predictions came true for Money in the Bank. Besides one or two, I didn't see Orton winning. I had Daniel Bryan winning that ladder match at the end. But I mean, WWE's never going to stop the leaks. I mean, if you're working within the company, and especially, high on the ladder, nobody's going to know what you're doing in your personal life. It's just near impossible. And especially if you have one or more people leaking those to, outside sources, it's never going to be resolved. So WWE's fighting a battle that they're never going to win here. Anyway, guys, that is the news and rumors for this week. If you enjoyed, as always, please support my WWE content by leaving a like and a rating and a favorite, whatever you guys got to do to help me out. I would greatly appreciate it. If you guys have not subscribed, you can go ahead and do that. I got weekly WWE content, the best content on YouTube at the moment for your WWE needs. If you guys missed my Monday Night Raw review, link in the description or on the annotation on screen right now. If you guys missed my Money in the Bank review, same annotation on screen or the link in the description down below. Also, last week's news and rumors, you guys can click on that too as well if you guys missed any of the news from last week. I'm out, guys. I will talk to you all on Tuesday after Monday Night Raw for my Monday Night Raw review. Until then, guys, take care, and I will talk to you all very soon.